Hi, it's me again. Uh, if you're listening, thank you very much. Excuse the audio. My washing machine's on. I didn't. I'm not even trying with a microphone. I just was in the mood to have a ramble, and I didn't really know what to ramble about. And then half an hour ago, I found out that Donald Sutherland died, and that made me feel quite sad. Donald Sutherland is probably my favourite actor. I just absolutely think that he was electrifying to watch on screen. There was something really properly special about Donald Sutherland. I think a lot of people my age grew up with him as President Snow in the Hunger Games, which is one of those absolutely kind of deliciously evil performances. There's something about the way that he smiles in that film. There's so much menace. There's so much sadism to it. There's like a real proper glee and a cheekiness to it, and I think that he brings so much to that character that wasn't necessarily obviously going to be there in the first place. But I think that the best thing about Donald Sutherland was his just like hyper intense eye acting. I think that his eyes on screen were one of the most compelling things that you could possibly film. They were so rounded and so piercing and so ridiculously blue, bluer than you knew eyes could get. You know, in a they were almost uncanny, his eyes on the screen. They really did a lot of the acting for him, and I've just been trying to think about a few Donald Sutherland moments that I like the most, and two came to mind, and they're from two movies that I absolutely love with all of my heart, and that really left a massive gigantic impact on me, and that's Don't Look Now and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which for a while was my favourite movie ever. If you haven't seen either Don't Look Now or Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you absolutely should. In terms of kind of English language cinema, I think that there are two absolutely essential films, and both equally wonderful to each other, in my opinion. Although Don't Look Now, I think, is the more celebrated. And yeah, in terms of the best of American cinema, I think that you can't go wrong with Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I think it's genuinely one of the best American films ever made. And in terms of British cinema, I think Don't Look Now might be the best British film, to be honest. Nothing really beats it. And yeah, I think that they are both films with an incredibly singular tone to them. I'll put it this way, they both have similar moods of anxiety and alertness and kind of jangling nerviness, that it's kind of hard to find in other movies. And I think that a lot of that jangling nerviness does come down to Donald Sutherland and his absolutely perfect performances in both. I think that they are two of the best film performances you will ever see, and they're both done by the same guy in the span of, like, I think they were like 2 years apart or something like that, and I just think that they're both absolutely incredible performances. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about two specific moments, one from each, where I think that Donald Sutherland's kind of like eye acting comes through and his face acting comes through, because, like, good lord, did that man just have such a precision to his expressions. Whilst I'm at it, Pride and Prejudice is also amazing, and love him in that film. He makes me cry in that movie. He really, really does. But I'll start with Don't Look Now, and I really, really don't want to spoil either, because even though I know not many people are going to see this, I still think that if I could get anybody to watch either of these movies, I'd be overjoyed, because they mean so much to me. Excuse my blocked nose, by the way. I still, I'm down with a cold of some sort. But there's a giant reveal in Don't Look Now. It's a very, very, very famous horror reveal, one of those scenes that isn't necessarily a jump scare, but still kind of leaves you with that feeling of electricity going through your nerves that a jump scare does. And there's a moment when the past and the present come clashing into each other in the editing, and in the main character's mind, uh, just as it's too late to really properly figure out what's going on. And the way that his face drops in the scene, I didn't. It's like the muscles in his face have teleported into a different position. They just bam like that. It's so incredible. But his eyes, I don't know how he does it, but his eyes just completely convey an entirely different emotion just if you were looking at them alone. Just the eyeballs alone. It's like the eyeballs transform somehow from comfort and reassurance into fear and panic in a way that, like, yeah, I just can't even begin to comprehend. Like, when I watch that scene, there's an obvious layer of like a smile to a dropped face, which is clear as day, but there's also kind of like these sub levels of emotion going on that I couldn't even explain to you how I know that that's what he's conveying, but he is. This is just so rambly, by the way, but I just wanted to talk about Donald Sutherland. But yeah, just his performance in that movie is incredibly brave and daring, and yeah, very very bold. And I love the way that he cries out in that movie. Like when he shouts, he has this weird kind of depth to the way that he shouts. I can't even describe it. Most people, when they shout, they kind of keep the same tone, you know, but his voice kind of it becomes like really strangely resonant and almost congested, like someone with a cold, you know. There's the moment right at the start of the film. It's not a spoiler to say it's what the film's about, but the moment at the start of the film where he pulls his daughter from a pond where she's just drowned, and the film is playing out in slow motion, and we're seeing these looks on his face in slow motion as he's crying out for help, but the audio isn't in slow motion, it's in real time, and there's a very very strange dissonance to it. It's a very strange, very dissonant film. um, it really, it brings your attention to the kind of like the it how do I put this, it makes the audio and the visuals so separate that you can pay attention to both. And what he's doing with his voice is so strange. It's such a weird choice, the way that he's calling out for help. It's so compelling, and bizarre, and guttural. And yeah, it's, I just think that Donald Sutherland in Don't Look Now is one of the best performances you can ever watch in a film. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I think sometimes Donald Sutherland's performances kind of have a sense of detachment to them from the world around him, but I think that Don't Look Now uses that very very intentionally in some scenes. It feels sometimes like he's floating through the movie on a green screen, like he's not part of the world around him, which very very much is thematically resonant for the film, and you'll know what I mean if you've seen it. But then other scenes I think are so up close and personal. I mean, very famously, the film has a sex scene that is so intimate that still to this day it's debated whether or not it's real. Uh, but he has so many moments of really bold, intimate connection with the camera, that just feels so close and so upfront and so personal that you kind of feel like you need to look away from it. Uh, and his ability to carry both throughout the film is really really wonderful. And yeah, what a presence he is in that film. But Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I think, has my favourite Donald Sutherland moment in any movie. And the moment that I really really love in Invasion of the Body Snatchers is the moment where, oh, I've forgotten the name of the character, but Brooke Adams's character, uh, runs up to Donald Sutherland's character. I don't remember their names. I just refer to characters as the actors' names. I'm one of those. And she is paranoid that she's losing her mind because she's convinced that her husband has been replaced by something else that looks identical to him. It's a really kind of evocative sequence as we kind of see the world through her paranoid eyes. It's really, really wonderful. And it ends with her arriving into work to him, who's like her best friend at work. They might secretly have feelings going on for each other. And she runs up to him with tears in her eyes and leans into him and holds on to him. And there's this incredible moment where it was like the shot was designed entirely for Donald Sutherland's distinct, strange features, where he moves from his head down to his head resting above hers, but it's like his nose is resting on the top of her head. He had a very pointy nose. It's like his nose is resting on the top of her head, and the lighting and everything just turns this area into all that's there in the shot. Everything else is in darkness except for this right here. And he had this massive wad of curly hair, which is wonderful and out there, and he had a great head of hair, and those eyes and that nose, and he just looks around from side to side, wondering what the hell is going on. And it's the best piece of eye acting I have ever seen in a movie, ever. It's unbelievable. You feel 10 different emotions going on at once in his eyes in that moment as he's just looking off. Oh, it's just absolutely amazing. And I think that the film is entirely worth watching just solely for the chemistry between him and Brooke Adams. They are just properly electric with each other. The charm that they bring out of each other, because I've liked them both in other movies, but in Don't Look Now he's not a charming person. He's very cold. He's very unlikable at certain points. In Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I just adore him. I think he's so charismatic and charming and hilarious in what is, for me, an absolutely terrifying movie. And the fact that he can come into a scene, this tall, lanky guy with this kind of crazy presence, and he can out tall, lanky, crazy presence Jeff Goldblum, in one scene. I think that they do kind of similar things in that movie at certain points, and I just think that Donald Sutherland just is on a whole nother level during that film. That character for me is so immersive and believable, and that performance is so brilliant and so funny. And I wish that everybody watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers, whether that's the 50s one or the 70s one. My preference is the 70s one for a few reasons, but yeah, I just can't recommend these movies enough. And I'm genuinely kind of, even though he was 88 years old, like he was an old dude, I can't come to grips with the fact that we've lost Donald Sutherland today. It's made me so sad, so ridiculously sad, and yeah, I just feel grateful for his performance as President Snow in the Hunger Games. I remember it being the thing that really drew me to those movies, his coldness and then his wittiness and all of that. I've just always loved that performance, and it's been a catalyst for me discovering so many brilliant movies, but especially Don't Look Now and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I just can't recommend them enough. I can't recommend watching any Donald Sutherland movie enough. Obviously, like every actor, he had his performances that were more clearly phoned in for a paycheck and all of that, because he wasn't the most popular actor in the whole wide world. But yeah, when he shone, he really properly shone, and I think that he's not someone that's appreciated enough for his range. The way that Donald Sutherland could smile, could carry menace and charm and paranoia and comfort and whatever he wanted. He really, really was properly brilliant. And yeah, maybe just watch Pride and Prejudice again, That final scene with him in, it is just one of the most heartwarming, uplifting scenes that you can watch in a period film. Oh, I kind of want to watch that tonight. But yeah, sad one. But you know, there's a whole lot going on in the world right now. You know, please send any money that you can to a fundraiser of your choice for anybody in Gaza right now. And obviously, it feels weird to kind of be putting one life on a pedestal right now. But also, you know, you can carry two things at once, and you can care about two things at once. And I think that I felt a real proper emotional connection to the art and the work of somebody, and it's just made me really sad that they're gone. And yeah, I hope that you watch something of his. I hope that you really enjoy it. And yeah, thank you. Hope you're having a lovely day. Um, I'll talk to you again soon.